Hello, I'm Andrew Pritchard, and thank you for watching today's Northeast Regional Forecast, brought to you by Nutrien Ag Solutions. So if you look at the jet stream right now, we're really talking about this player right here, that patch of stronger winds. That is our shortwave, our upper level trough that is bringing a storm system across the Great Lakes today, bringing with it the chance for some severe weather across parts of the eastern Corn Belt, eventually going to bring a frontal boundary through the region here through the Northeast as we talk about Wednesday, bringing the chance for some showers and storms to parts of the Northeast region. The next 10 days, in terms of a temperature anomaly, just looking at the snapshot here, are going to be cooler across the Northeast region. As we head through the next 10 days, we will start to build some warmth into parts of the Corn Belt, parts of the eastern Corn Belt here that haven't seen much warmth, getting close to the Northeast region here as we talk about next week. But the Northeast region really looking cool as we talk about the next 10 days. Cool and quiet for the next week across the Northeast region. We'll have to watch Dorian in its track, perhaps bringing some rain to coastal areas here of the Northeast region, but really quiet overall, aside from this Wednesday frontal boundary making its way through the region. The last 24 hours of precipitation, we have seen scattered showers and storms across the Northeast over the last 24 hours. We've also watched some showers and storms racing across the Dakotas into the upper Midwest over the last 24 hours, even some small hail with some of those strong storms across the Dakotas, Minnesota, into Wisconsin this morning. Look at the satellite picture here, the infrared satellite. There are those storms that again raced across the Dakotas into the Great Lakes this morning. Here is Dorian off to the south, and then here is the storm system exiting now that brought some showers and storms to the Northeast region over the last 24 hours. Looking underneath those cloud tops, here is the shower and storm activity across the Great Lakes. This is going to be moving off to the east as we head through the day today. Perhaps a couple strong storms across Michigan, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio as we head through the afternoon and evening today. Dorian, of course, still spinning away off to the southeast there, just barely off the radar picture. Your frontal boundaries here on Tuesday morning, frontal morning. We got an area low pressure off the border of Minnesota and Manitoba right now with a cold front extending off to the south there. That is the frontal boundary that we expect to see light up with additional showers and storms across parts of the eastern Corn Belt today. Here is Dorian off to the south. This is the frontal boundary that brought showers and storms to the region over the last 24 hours. Now, as we jump ahead to Thursday morning, this frontal boundary that's situated back here across the Midwest and Great Lakes today pushes through the region, kind of exiting the area by the time we get to Thursday morning. Here is Dorian, again making its way northward very, very slowly. And then we'll watch for our next area of low pressure to begin emerging across parts of the Dakotas. This is really the corridor that we'll watch over the next week or so as being more active in terms of shower and storm activity. We'll really be watching the Dakotas into parts of Minnesota and Wisconsin. Your severe weather outlooks for the next 3 days, we do have a slight risk across that same region I've been talking about here, Illinois, Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio, for some strong storms along that frontal boundary as we head through Tuesday evening, Tuesday overnight. The front continues to move off to the west or to the east on Wednesday with a marginal risk for a couple strong storms in the Northeast region on Wednesday. And then Thursday, we really start to quiet back down. The high-resolution rapid refresh, this will take us through the day today. Again, we'll watch for those storms to flare up along that frontal boundary as we head through the afternoon. Today, we'll play that one more time with the high-resolution NAM model, because this will take us a little bit further when it becomes a little more relevant for the Northeast region. Getting into Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday evening, here's where we see those storms lighting up along the frontal boundary, anywhere from Michigan into Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. Late in the day on Tuesday, here is Dorian slowly making its way off to the north and to the west. Take this out through Tuesday night into Wednesday morning. This frontal boundary continues to move from west to east. Wednesday afternoon, this is when we'll watch for maybe an isolated strong storm across this region as the front continues to make its way through. There'd be damaging wind gusts and maybe some large hail would be the primary risk with any strong storm across the Northeast region on Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening. Taking this a little bit further all the way into Wednesday overnight into Thursday morning, the frontal boundary kind of clears the region. It'll be sitting something like this by the time we get to Thursday morning. So high pressure moving in on the backside, cooler and drier now across the Northeast region as we head through Thursday and Friday. We'll have to watch Dorian and its track as it makes its way north towards along the East Coast into the weekend for any time or any chance for some coastal rains. The high-resolution NAM model, now the precipitation, total accumulated precipitation forecast. And again, you see the isolated and scattered nature with any of these storms as we talk about Wednesday. So not everyone getting a drink here, and certainly not talking about any widespread significant rainfall across the Northeast region with this frontal passage midweek. We will be looking at another reinforcing shot of some cooler and drier air coming in on the back side of that frontal boundary. There you see it. Dew points in the 40s and 50s spilling back into this region here. So again, some milder days, some pleasant afternoons, and some cool, crisp overnights as we head through the mid to late part of the week across the eastern Corn Belt into the northeast region. Now, where are we headed beyond this? Well, we'll take this out here with the GFS long range ensemble forecast. And this is a look that we have not seen in some time here with this trough east and the ridge off to, or the trough to the west and the ridge off to the east. Again, allowing some warmth to build into the Corn Belt and perhaps part of the eastern Corn Belt, parts of the eastern Corn Belt into the northeast region mid next week. But this trough off to the north going to be keeping things, keeping the heat from really building into the northeast region, keeping things a bit cooler across the northeast while the Corn Belt sees some of that warmth mid next week. Now, it's also a pattern that can make things active again across this corridor. You know, I mentioned over the next week, we'll really be watching this region, and I'll take this through the weekend and kind of illustrate that as we head through Saturday. You're seeing off and on the chance for some light showers and storms moving through that northern region. As we get to Tuesday now, September 10th, September 11th, this is when we start to see the trough develop off to the west. So the jet stream's doing something like that. Right here, that battleground between the trough off to the west and the ridge off to the east, this battleground, this becomes the focal point for the development of perhaps one or more storm systems, areas of low pressure, and then perhaps an active corridor here where, again, we're looking at daily precipitation here every 6 hours here, looking at, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week, September 10th, 11th, 12th, perhaps becoming active across the central part of the country, and that could have implications as we talk about upstream across parts of the northeast region, perhaps turning active again late next week beyond the September 11th and 12th timeframe. Daily precipitation here from the GFS model. This will kind of show the pattern again, watching the Tuesday, Wednesday frontal boundary getting through the northeast region, bringing that chance for some isolated showers and storms. Quiet though, except for coastal areas here Friday and Saturday, perhaps dealing with some of the coastal impacts of Dorian as it makes its way out of the area. Otherwise, relatively quiet and cool all the way through next week. Getting into Monday and Tuesday now, it's not until we get to Wednesday and Thursday of next week that we start to see the next significant chance of some precipitation making its way through the northeast region. So really, this frontal passage here Monday or on Wednesday, and then perhaps coastal impacts from Dorian over the weekend. About it as we talk about precipitation in the northeast region. Total accumulated precipitation from the GFS model, this will kind of show it as well, watching Dorian make its way off to the north and to the east. But look at that, relatively sparse coverage. Pennsylvania maybe even missing out on a lot of the precipitation over the next week to 10 days as we look for to next week for the next potential active regime across the northeast region. The national blended model going to show it well also. This again combines several of our better models here across the region, giving us kind of a consensus average look. And again, this is the region I talked about. The Dakotas into Minnesota and Wisconsin really going to be the most active region over the next week in terms of showers and storms. Across this region, perhaps turning active as we get into the middle part of next week beyond September 11th and 12th. Your temperature anomalies now, this will kind of spell out the temperature forecast, seeing a lot of blues and greens across the northeast region as I just play this loop. You start to see some warmth build into the middle part of the country here towards the end. This is now getting into next week, September 11th, 12th, freezing right there. But still, that area of low pressure, that upper level low right here, keeping northwest flow across the northeast region. And that's what allows some warmth to kind of push into and nudge into the region, but keeping things cooler overall across the northeast region for the next 7 to 10 days. Your high temperature forecast for the next 5 days in the mid 60s to the lower 80s for the high today, getting into the middle part of the week as we watch this frontal boundary make its way through, cooling things off. High temperature is mostly in the 70s on Wednesday and Thursday, keeping things cool as we head into the late part of the week. Your Friday high temperature is also in the 60s and 70s, with a reinforcing shot coming in from the west on Saturday. Again, your high temperatures on Saturdays from the lower 60s across the north to close to 80 degrees off to the south. As always, Eric Snodgrass will have an in-depth look at the next 1 to 2 weeks in our Thursday morning ag forecast video, and I will have your next check-in with the Northeast region on Friday morning. Have a great day.